apply something that was like a tape or something that's going to have a lot of pull on it. The trick is to apply the cream rosé, let it dry, and then apply another coat and let it dry, and another coat and let it dry, and use it almost like epoxy, and then it builds up the strength, rather than just putting on a lot at one time.
What's your opinion on using glue sticks to cover the eyebrow?
Well, it will work in a fashion show if it's not going to be under a lot of scrutiny, but it'll only work on people with their very light hairs. You know, like if you've got coarse hairs, it's not going to work. But also with a glue stick, I'll use like a wax over it so it doesn't grab the makeup. Because, you know, half of the battle is that you want the makeup to go over the covered area the same as it will go on the skin. You know, even if it's perfectly flat, if it's grabbing the makeup, it's not going to look good. So that's why I'm using a flexible sealer as a top coat. I just put powder on the crozet because that helps me see where the crozet ends, you know? Because you want to extend the sealer a little bit beyond the crozet so you don't get that grabbing. It's a bit tricky to work with the sealer just because it drips off the applicator, so you just have to be very aware of that when you're putting it on. Keep turning the applicator. You know, always have a tissue too for protection. But this is just a great technique for any kind of beauty makeup because then you're not at the mercy of the model's eyebrows. You know, if you have to do like some sort of 70s or 20s look and she's got 80s eyebrows, and you don't get thrown. When I did the Katy Perry video, I actually just covered the outer part of her eyebrow, but we're sort of turning someone else into Katy Perry, so I just went ahead and did the whole eyebrow. And I'm putting the makeup on very thick. I don't always do this, but because there's a big difference in skin tone, I found out when I did one side of the face that it was better to go with more makeup than less.
What do you use when you paint somebody all white?
Well, it depends. I mean, on the face I'll usually use like a white, sometimes I use like a very ivory makeup instead of the absolute white. Actually, in that one example from Vogue Julo with the gold jewelry and the hair, that was actually the Japanese white, which is water-based. But that's tricky to work with. You've got to cover the whole body in wax. The face has to be covered in wax, and it's got to be applied really quickly in like broad strokes. So I don't use that much, but I used it in that case because it gave me that really cold white. But normally I go with a little warmer white, and I'll just use like, let's see, what is it? No, I can't remember, sorry.
But is it like
I'll tell you later.
Is it a cream or?
It's a cream, yeah.
Cream.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I usually work just out of my kit. I've collected a lot of makeup. I don't always know them by name, but I know where to go look for them.
What kind of wax do you use?
Well, I have this wax from Shiseido in Japan, but it's basically just like mustache wax. So if you got like a clear mustache wax and just soften it up in your hand, I think it would just be the same thing, really. You know, and there's things out there. There's like that Dr. Feelgood by Benefit. There's kind of like a waxy thing, but that's even thinner. I don't use like a hard wax.